This is Brittany and Sylvette's detection techniques of the Eastern Indigo Snake Project. Here is an overview of the different detection methods that we used. I hope you enjoy our presentation.
So the main problem with conducting research on the Eastern indigo snake is that although various techniques have been used, their detection rates are still incredibly low. A study published in the Journal of Herpetology found that live indigo snakes were detected at only 8% of surveys, and indigo sheds were found at only 6% of surveys. So we looked at various methods in order to try to increase their level of detection. The first method we looked at were drift fence arrays with pitfall and funnel traps. The pros to this method is that trapping is an effective way to increase detection of secretive or falsarial animals, and this method specifically captures more kinds of reptiles than any other method of trapping. The cons are that it's expensive. If the fence isn't tall enough, the snake can climb over it. Traps must be checked daily so that no harm is done to the animals due to heat or due to drowning. And the capture probability can be biased due to differences in behavior and morphology. You also need a lot of permits in order to trap animals. The second method we looked at was rose cruising, which is very cheap and easy to do. All you need is a car and a flashlight. There's a good chance you could find all the species that are known to occupy an area, and you could cover a large area in a shorter amount of time than it would take on foot. The problems with this method is that it's obviously convenient sampling, and you won't be able to detect snakes if they don't use the roads, so it could take a long time to get enough data, and you often won't have a sufficient amount of data with this particular species especially.
So the next method that we're going to be looking at are gopher tortoise burrows and camera surveys. Some of the pros are that it's less invasive, especially when you use the camera outside of the burrow. You could also use a closed circuit camera attached to the end of a flexible tubing, which will help you best identify what animals are deep within the burrow. You can get remotely triggered cameras to collect temporal activity, and it has been proven to capture indigo snakes. Some of the cons are that these snakes are limited to a certain time of year for availability. So between mid-November and mid-March is when we can find these animals. Burrow cameras tend to be invasive, so when you push that closed circuit camera inside of the burrow, you have the possibility of the burrow collapsing, or you can even hit various obstacles like roots, leaf litter, or the animal themselves, so it can be a little bit tricky and dangerous for them. It's also long in length, so the average length of a burrow is 4.5 meters and 2 meters in depth. Again, curvature of the burrow and obstacles becomes an issue, especially when using the closed circuit camera. And also, these snakes could be in several of these burrows, that they can occupy several different ones. Our last method that we're going to be talking about are detector dogs. There are many pros and cons again. Some of them are that the dog is non-invasive. They can reduce sample collection bias. It decreases time searching for species and safer methods when studying potentially dangerous species. A pilot study was done actually on indigo snakes themselves and had shown that the dog can detect the skin shed of indigo snakes, and that being 91% of the time, and the detection of live snakes to be 88% of the time. So it is a very successful method to use and very beneficial when trying to find indigo snakes. One can also use different molecular techniques for the dog, so the dog can sense out reproductive and stress hormones that the snake has. Some of the cons to using detector dogs is that it can be difficult to collect information on endangered or rare species. And this is due to low densities and large remote inhabited areas. The dogs can be financially expensive, and this just goes in tune with the amount of time that it takes to train the dog and what specifically you want the dog to find. Lack of publications and studies regarding reliability, validity, and objectivity of scent detection becomes an issue because there's going to be less people that find dogs valuable using scent detection to find the snakes. The dog might obtain a false sense, so the dog might sniff out the snake and be able to figure out where it is generally, but we might not know if the snake is there or not, due to the fact that it might be in the burrow and the dog can still sense its around. The last thing is that there's a possible need to utilize more than one detection method. That honestly goes into what we decided what would be the best approach to address the problem for indigo snake detection. We think that mixing both burrow surveys and utilizing detector dogs would be beneficial, especially when we're trying to find these snakes. The dogs can go and detect what burrows these snakes are in. Then we can use the camera to better identify what species of animal is deep within there. We'd like to thank you guys for listening about eastern indigo snakes and different detection techniques that they have. If you guys have any questions, let us know. Hope you all have a great day, night, or afternoon.